The fights are back, and so are the boys. My name is Angelo. This is Jacob, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC Kansas City fight card, giving you our picks, predictions, bets, and our DraftKings Fantasy Plays. But before we deep dive into this week, let's take a look at the streak we're about to hit. The stretch of fights we're about to jump into is absolutely spectacular. We just wrapped up, a 16-week stretch with pay-per-views and fight nights every single Saturday. We had 1 week off for Easter, and now we're hitting up a stretch exactly like that. That's going to get us clean through International Fight Week. This next month, the next 4 events, the next 4 Saturdays, are UFC Kansas City, UFC Des Moines, then UFC 315, and then the fight night with Michael Morales and Gilbert Burns. And the reason I'm mentioning these 4 events is because if you go to the website, WeWantPicks.com, and you become a premium member, you will instantly unlock every single pick, every single bet, every single tool that we have available, and you will unlock all of it for $10 for an entire month, and that month will get you these 4 events. Literally $2.50 per event. That premium membership is more than just some picks and bets, more than just a list of some information. You're going to have full-blown interactive tools. The latest and greatest that we released 2 weeks ago is the tape index. If you're looking to do your own research, you're one of those people. You watch this show for entertainment, great. You watch this show for some input, some insight, some information, that's great too. If you like to do your own research, we have the tools for you. The tape index is one of those tools. If you usually go deep diving, searching, digging through the dumpster to find historical fights and watch those tapes, we have a full index. It's under tools in the menu. You jump in there, you get any fight card you want. This is built out for the future, so you can get ahead of your research. You grab your fighter, you'll see their full fight history, all the information about that fight, who won, when they won, how they won, and if you click the little red play button, that video will pop up for you. We have other tools like a DraftKings Optimizer. This will build DraftKings fantasy lineups for you. And if you don't know what an optimizer is or how to use one, we added a brand new beginner mode. You just click that beginner mode button at the top, and then instead of expecting you to understand the numbers and the complexities, it's just going to ask you some questions. Who are your 3 most confident picks? Hey, what dogs do you like? Anybody you hate on this card? You answer those questions, it'll build the lineups for you, and that will be one of the many tools we have for DraftKings Fantasy, and all of them are preloaded with the best DraftKings ownership projections on the planet. Here is the results from UFC 314, which is the last event. Margin of error, only 2.42%, which is lower than anybody else on the planet. That will also be in the fight simulator, which takes every single fight on the fight card. It simulates those fights using historical DraftKings information, using grappling stats, using striking stats. All of that data simulates those fights 100,000 times and then spits out those results. And another tool that we have is a data analyzer. You can go into any fight now or in the future, pull up your fighter, pull up their opponent, all the stats side by side, deep dive, add filters, remove filters, build out your graph, and do any research that you want to do. And every single thing that we offer is available inside of the app. The app is 100% free. It is available now in the App Store. Just search We Want Picks, and that'll pop up for you. Download the app. You get push notifications anytime bets are placed by the boys. And I'm racing through this. I'm trying to get to the fights. We have 14 fights to break down. So check out the website, become a premium member, do all the things, support the guys. WeWantPicks.com. It is only $10 for an entire month. And finally, UFC 315 is a couple weeks away. UFC 315 is a pay-per-view. We film vlogs for the pay-per-views. On those vlogs, we open up the mail. Inside the mail, sometimes we get fun letters. Sometimes people send us products that they're developing. We get all sorts of things. And if you want to send something, you want us to read your letter, open your mail, check out your cards, you can do so now. It is We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. Before we dive in, we have one super chat here for $1.99 from Christian Baller. Can't wait to watch CP this weekend. I'm assuming that means Carlos Prates. And I agree. Carlos Prates is going to be we're going to learn a lot about him and the rest of that team the main event Saturday night. Jacob, any words for the people before we dive in?
I'm probably going to be pretty low energy tonight, and I apologize for that. Just in going through some shit, and it fucking sucks, and it just is what it is. But I'm trying to work through it, right? I showed up here. I really don't want to do this, but I'm here. I'm trying to get out of the funk. I promise, guys. I'm starting to run in the mornings and all that stuff, but It is what it is. We'll get through it, but I apologize. I'm trying.
You do not need to apologize. I appreciate you being here. I know your typical gut reaction is like, fuck this. You know what I mean? I'm going to crawl into a hole for a little bit, not talk to anybody, and I'll work my way out. So I understand you being here. So I appreciate that. I'm sure the people will too, because a lot of people watching this also have some shit going on, and to see you sort of show up and do your thing and bring them a little bit of joy for a couple of hours, I'm sure they appreciate that. You mentioned you're gonna run in the mornings. That ain't my jam. Have you considered, and this is, there's those memes of like something happens and then like the gym bro is like, all right, come on in, but you're already kind of a gym bro. The jiu-jitsu bros are taking that over. You consider joining a jiu-jitsu gym?
The running's actually been kind of nice, honestly, a little bit.
Really? I can't do it. I did. So, last thing before we dive in, I went to Florida. We went to Florida last minute for Easter for went to my mother's house. We have no family here. We have some family in Texas. My wife does. I don't. And they were all doing shit. So it's like, all right, well, for Easter, I guess we'll go to Florida. So my mom is religious. I'm not very religious, but she is. So she went to the church. She got her holy water and she blessed everything for Easter. I took it home. I said, Ma, can I have the holy water you didn't use? She said, yes. She said, you're not going to make fun of me, are you? You're not going to use it to whatever, are you? I said, no, of course not. What we are going to do is we're going to bless these bets and we're going to dive in. I feel like it's a good week. I feel like we're going to hit a good stretch. We've got the power. She believes. She scooped it right out of the bowl. Let's go ahead and dive in. Opening up the UFC Kansas City fight card, we got Chelsea Chandler taking on Joselyne Edwards. This is one of many fights where the line has slowly been moving. This card has a couple of wild lines, but for the most part, I feel like the betting lines are pretty accurate overall. And what we have seen is some steady movement on all of them. We have not seen the dramatic leaps. And this is one of those fights where there is some steady movement, and it does make sense to me. We have Chelsea Chandler, 6-3 in her career, 3-2 in her last 5. She is coming off that decision loss to Yana Santos. And she's taking on Joselyne Edwards, 14-6 in her career, 3-2 in her last 5. She's coming off that decision win over Tamiris Vidal. Both of these women are big. Neither one of them have done a very good job making weight as of late. Chelsea Chandler missed weight by 5 pounds in her last fight. She is big. She's pretty well-rounded skill-wise, but she's slow. She's fee-fi-fo-fum-ish, but she'll move forward, try to get you to the cage, drag you to the ground if she can. She's got that Stockton attitude. She doesn't really give a shit. She'll get into a fist fight. She's not usually the better fighter, but she has no problem fighting, except for the time that she literally ran away. She's taking on Joselyne Edwards. Joselyne Edwards is a pretty good kickboxer. She uses range well. Good variety of strikes. She does prefer to kick. If you literally totaled the count of strikes, you're going to get more kicks and punches out of her, and she'll use those to manage range. She'll work the body. She does get inside the pocket, try to make it a dirty fight if she can. The knock on her has been her takedown defense, which could be a problem here because big old Chelsea Chandler is going to march forward, try to drag her to the ground, but she seems to be closing those gaps. She just came off of that win over Tamiris Vidal, which I believe was the 4th time she missed weight. Neither one of these women do a great job making weight, and I'm sure the UFC is just looking forward to cutting one of them after a loss potentially here. Chelsea, big as hell. They look the same size on paper. When I get to the next slide for Jacob's part, you're going to see the height, the reach, the size. They're going to look the same size. Chelsea is much, much larger. I expect Joselyne to be faster, more mobile, stay on the outside, piece her up. And I think literally speed is going to be the difference. So I am picking Joselyne Edwards because I think she's faster and I think she's more well-rounded. But if Chelsea Chandler is just enormous and moves forward and leans on Joselyne, she could just get a boring win out of this. But this should be Joselyne Edwards. This should be a decision. And I do have 2 parlays here. I have one with Joselyne straight up. I'll give you the second half when we get there. And then I have a parlay with the over 2.5, and I'll give you the second half when we get there. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I like that over 2.5. Both these girls are kind of sluggish in the way they fight. Neither one's a crazy finisher. I do think that Joselyne is better everywhere. And unless Chelsea Chandler has kind of figured out what she wants to do with girls once she gets her to the clinch, she's going to lose this fight. I mean, unless Joselyne just randomly ends up on her back for 2 rounds, which I don't think it's going to happen because Chelsea loves to just kind of bulldoze into the clinch, and then it looks like she really doesn't know what to do. Unless she's figured that out, I think she loses this fight. She does look on her Instagram like she's in pretty good shape, like she's slimmed down and stuff, so maybe she out cardios her, but it should be a Joselyne fight.
Yeah, I agree. The safety parlay, first leg I knew immediately. I knew weeks ago. And then I was waiting for the props to drop because I was like, I'm probably going to do the over 2.5 in this fight. Ultimately, I did not. I did bet that, but that's not in the safety parlay. And I don't know why I didn't. I just had like this weird, like, I don't know, man, a random, this could be one of those random 2.5s where Joselyne just beats the shit out of Chelsea Chandler and all of a sudden it gets dicey. But I stayed away from it in the safety parlay. I did bet on it. If we're looking at DraftKings fantasy scoring, this is wide. Joselyne Edwards is not worth $9,000. If you don't know how that works, you basically get a salary of $50,000. You have to draft 6 fighters with that $50,000 budget, and then you compete that lineup against other people. Exact same thing as fantasy football and other sports. I'm not spending $9,000 on Joselyne Edwards, who likely wins, but isn't going to win with a ton of takedowns, isn't going to win by finish. So we're not going to do that in DraftKings Fantasy. If you do want to check out every single pick, bet, and tool that we offer, they're available right now on the website, and not just for this card. We have bets for the future. Jacob has had UFC 315 bets on the board for a while, and you just did what's that wild Ajabirzaban? What's the card?
I don't know.
Like UFC Baki or some shit. Baku. Well, you just threw a bet up in there for that. Anyway, check out every single pick, bet, and tool that we have to offer right now at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have Timmy Cuamba taking on Roberto Romero. Timmy Cuamba, 8-3 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is looking for his first UFC win. He's taking on Roberto Romero. 8-4 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that short notice loss to David Onama, and I imagine that loss is the reason that he has been slowly moving towards a favorite. You'll see the opening odds here. Timmy Cuamba open as a dog, but that line went to even almost instantly, and it sat at even for a while, and then now the confidence is coming back in. Roberto's moving more and more towards a medium-sized favorite. This should be a pretty fun dogfight, though, because Timmy Cuamba's a striker. He's got good takedown defense. He got fast hands, decent power, especially for this weight class. He does a good job working the body early. He'll invest there, and then he'll hope for that late payoff. He's very technical. He's not gun-shy at all. I would not categorize him as a killer, though. He does have some takedowns. He doesn't really look very comfortable doing them. And he really only looks to wrestle if he's in trouble, but those are there in his back pocket. He is tough as nails. You saw that in that loss against Lucas Almeida, where he was almost finished a few times, but he just gutted it out and continued to hang out. He's taking on Roberto Romero, forward pressure grappler. He closes distance well. He gets you to the cage. He'll work in those takedowns. On top, he's looking for control more than he's looking for a finish. He is very tough, and he's absolutely a gamer. The striking is not very technical, but he's got power. He's got pressure. He's coming off that short notice loss to David Onama, where he came out guns blazing, zero hesitation whatsoever, even dropped Onama. And sometimes you do learn a lot from somebody in a loss. And not only was this a loss, it was a short notice loss. Both these guys are pretty tough. I think it's going to take a beating on both sides. They can both move forward. They don't care what's happening. I think Romero's probably the better wrestler. Timmy's probably the better striker. I love how insanely tough Timmy is, but I love that what we saw out of Romero is short notice, didn't give a shit, moved forward, tried to make it happen. I can't imagine what a full camp's going to look like. Roberto Romero is going to be the pick because of that. I mean, first of all, his eyes. Look at the absolute psychopath behind this dude's eyes. He's the pick. I think he gets it done. What do you think, Jakey? Sorry.
Yeah, I like Roberto in this one. I'll be honest, he probably is going to end up being lock of the week. I got him at plus 100. I was surprised that he was the dog. Listen, I like Timmy. I was pretty high on him coming into that last fight. I was like, this is a tough kid, knows how to wrestle. This is natural weight class. Now he's got the full camp because he did the short notice beforehand, and he kind of just got the shit beat out of him for about 13 minutes until he finally got a takedown. Against a guy like Roberto, who is also heavy-handed, it just seems like a recipe for disaster. Timmy's good offensively, and he can shoot takedowns, but a lot of his takedowns come after he's kind of hurt. And a lot of times he's getting cracked. I mean, his defense is just not there. He stays in the pocket. He's got fast hands, but I just think he's going to hang out in the pocket too much. Roberto's going to hurt him. Timmy's a tough kid. I wouldn't be surprised this turns into a club and sub situation. Roberto, when he dropped David Onama, he went to the back real quick, tried to throw in a choke. Same thing that could happen here. Timmy has a tendency to shoot takedowns when he's hurt. The opportunity could be there for a club and sub. So I'm going Roberto. He's probably lock of the week.
Yeah, I'm on the Roberto side as well, and it was interesting to see the line sort of move around because it's not like Timmy has a ton of UFC wins, and we're kind of going off like how Jordan Vucenic fucked us all by he lost to Garam, and we're like he's pretty good. I mean, look how he looked on short notice losing. That's not really what we have here because Timmy is not like some wildly successful UFC caliber guy, and Roberto, yes, lost that UFC debut, but looked decent in it. I am surprised that this line is tight and it hasn't continued to widen. $7,900 in DraftKings Fantasy, $8,300 in DraftKings Fantasy. Both these guys are tough as shit. I do think Roberto wins. I also think there's value on that side at $8,300 for a guy that is going to move forward, bomb away, and we know he has wrestling upside. So if Timmy is having some success in the striking department, Roberto shooting some takedowns, scoring some points there isn't insane. If you do want to check out what the DraftKings Optimizer has to say, what the artificial intelligence has to say, we have all of those things on the website. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. You'll unlock every single one of those things, not just for this card, but the next 4. You about to say something?
Nope.
Oh. We do have a super chat. I actually disagree with the sentiment here. It says from Enema, everyone's going through something, Jacob, and everyone can make things better with the same mindset. Stop giving an F. Stop complaining. Man up. Put in the work. Do what you have to do to make it better. I appreciate the $10. I don't know if you have a comment on that, but I disagree with that mindset entirely. And I think as a suck it up kind of guy, I disagree with the shut up, just get over it. That I disagree with. Any words? No.
I don't really give a fuck.
Tom in Colorado supporting Jake Man and J Stress 91. Jacob made me a shit ton of money. Appreciate it. Now we have one of my most confident picks on this card and an interesting situation where the line is starting to rebound a little bit, and I don't fully understand it. We got Jaqueline Amorim at minus 650. Just the other day I saw her at minus 700, and she's taking on Polyana Viana. Jaqueline Amorim 9-1 in her career, 4-1 in her last 5 on a 3-fight win streak, taking on Polyana Viana. 13-7 in her career, 2-3 in her last 5. She is on an unfortunate 2-fight skid. Jaqueline Amorim, tremendous favorite here, and I'm surprised it's not even wider. She has proven that she's got some power in her hands. She's proven to be a very talented grappler. She is a double world champion, a no-gi BJJ world champion. She's got blast doubles, a myriad of submissions. She also has power in her hands, genuine threat everywhere. She'll move forward. She'll bomb away. If it goes to the ground, spectacular. If it doesn't, she'll continue to swing away on the feet. You don't see a lot of people at this weight class that can finish you standing or on the ground, but Jaqueline Amorim is one of those people. She is coming off that submission win over Vanessa Demopoulos, where she absolutely 100% cheated, but it is what it is. She's taking on Polyana Viana. Polyana Viana is a grappler. Her hands are decent. The ground game is decent as well. She has 4 wins in the UFC. All 4 of them are by finish. She's definitely a finish or bust kind of fighter. She sets a hard pace early. She struggles with some takedowns. That accuracy is only 33%. Oftentimes, she's just going to rely on somebody else to take it to the ground. She is coming off that ground and pound loss to Jillian Robertson. We've had a few similar matchups a couple weeks ago. Jacob's lock of the week, I don't know, was it 3 weeks ago, was Deone Barboza to win by finish. And the narrative out of him and me was Ariana Lipski doesn't really care about her career, right? She has got one foot out the door. Deone Barboza is the opposite side of that spectrum. She gives a shit about her career. She cares. She's going to move forward. She's going to make something happen. This feels very similar to that. Very similar to that. I feel like Jaqueline Amorim is putting in the time, putting in the work, where Polyana Viana is more focused on some of the social media side of all of this. I think Jaqueline Amorim is going to come forward, get the takedowns, and either submit or just pound away here. And I'm not touching an over 2.5 in this fight. I think Jaqueline Amorim is one of the easiest picks on this entire card. And I do have her in a 3-leg parlay. I'll give you the other 2 legs of that when we get there. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I think it should go the way it should go. I mean, she should go get the takedowns. Even Polyana kind of defaults to the kind of those body lock clinches, and that's where Jaqueline is the strongest. I mean, she's going to just win those exchanges. Once she gets on top, we've seen Polyana get submitted and kind of get mauled from the top position, or Jaqueline's can work from the bottom as well. I worry maybe a little bit that Jaqueline maybe is too overconfident in her grappling, because Polyana is a good grappler in her own right, but she should be fine. And I mean, she's got some bad karma coming her way, but
I don't love the glove karma. I agree with you, because Vanessa Demopoulos' bad decision karma has caught up to her twofold. So now I'm worried about this bad karma, because I agree. She straight up grabbed the inside of the gloves, and it was undeniable. Do you agree with my analogy that this is somewhat similar to the Diony Barboza and Ariane Lipski fight, where one person takes her career seriously, the other one's kind of done with it?
probably.
There we go. If you play some DraftKings Fantasy, I do think this is a rare lady $9,500 opportunity. I think Jaqueline can win by finish. Polyana loses a lot by finish. I mean, it's not like she's tough as nails and you can't get her out of it. You absolutely 100% can get her out of there, and Jaqueline can do it on the feet or on the ground. So I do think some exposure to her at $9,500 would make some sense if you do want to check out every single freaking pick, bet, and tool from the boys. It's not just me. It's not just Jacob. We also have Artem, who's picking perfect regional cards like it's no big deal. We call him the regional Rain Man. We got Bet Sam, who has a slam of the week. Bet Sam's slam of the week is destroying the safety parlay. The slam of the week, I think, missed one time the whole year. And it's not always a parlay. Sometimes it's just a single money line that he doubles down on. But check all of that out, and then the artificial intelligence now on the website, WeWantPicks.com. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have former prospect Cameron Saaiman taking on Malcolm Wellmaker. Cameron Saaiman 9-2 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is riding back-to-back losses and a full year layoff, taking on Malcolm Wellmaker. He is undefeated in his career at 8-0, and he is making his UFC debut. It was just a few years ago. Cameron Saaiman was a big-time prospect, and then a couple of losses and a long layoff, and all of a sudden here he is, an undercard matched up against a different prospect. He's a fun technical striker. He can grapple if he needs to. He does a pretty good job stepping into combinations, finishing those combinations with leg kicks. And just when you think you figured out his striking cadence, he'll work in a random spinning attack, even drop down and shoot a takedown. He does not have a ton of power, but he is fast. He's pretty accurate. He can be relentless as well. He is riding those back-to-back losses, but they were to pretty decent opponents in C-Rod and then most recently Payson Talbot about a year ago, taking on Malcolm Wellmaker. Powerful striker, good accuracy, good timing. He does a really nice job managing range. He's got a solid jab. He will fire away. He's not overly aggressive, but he does do a nice job fully committing when he throws and counters. People will come, and then he will just absolutely bomb away. He can grapple as well. He's got solid takedowns, even better takedown defense. He's coming off that counter hook knockout on the Contender Series, which earned him this UFC shot. And it wasn't that long ago, right? It was Cameron and Dricus, the two South African guys that were winning, and they were both sort of riding high, working together, kissing their coaches right on the mouth. And then all of a sudden, Cameron Saaiman loses a couple fights, Dricus du Plessis becomes a world champion, and now we're not the same anymore. Two different people doing two different things on two different journeys. Cameron did get smoked, but that was the very high-level opposition. And the UFC's sort of like, all right, let's find out if you're actually good or not. You're either getting cut after this fight or you are the prospect that we thought you were. He is a talented striker. He can wrestle when he needs to. Cameron should have a volume advantage, but Malcolm has a ton of power. If this fight was in Vegas, I would be all in on the power, right? That's all Vegas seems to care about. Who's throwing harder? Who's trying to finish this fight? We could get some old school scoring here. We could get somebody who cares a lot about the forward pressure of Cameron. Wellmaker is going to be the pick because I think a full year layoff at this weight class. And I think Malcolm Wellmaker coming forward, bombing away, keeping that pressure on. We've seen Cameron get touched up. I'm going to pick Malcolm. I'm not touching this fight at all. There's just too many anomalies here. UFC debut, long layoff, lots of stuff going on. Not touching it bet-wise. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, Wellmaker is a very casual dude. I mean, he fights very, very casual. His hands low, very slow, leaning his head back off of combinations. And that's just not somebody I can trust at this point to put money on, especially with the UFC debut fight against at this point, he is almost like a veteran in Cameron Saaiman. I mean, he's had some good fights against some high level competition. I think he's going to be the more precise striker. The issue is he does get hit, leaves himself open to those big shots, and if Wellmaker's landing shots, he seems to be able to put people's lights out. So it's a little too early for me to bet a guy like Wellmaker, but if he proves it against Cameron Saaiman, I think it's pretty impressive. He's my pick, though.
Who is Wellmaker?
It is,
Yeah, I agree. I'm not touching it bet-wise just because, to your point, Cameron's fought the much higher level of competition. It's not even close. Yeah, he doesn't have those wins necessarily, but it's not even close who fought the better level of competition. But if Cameron's just blindly pressuring forward as he does, and Malcolm just sits on a big counter as he did in the Contender Series, this could be kind of a short outing. So we're just going to watch this when we have 14 fights on this card. You don't need to bet on every single one of them. DraftKings Fantasy agrees with the breakdown. $7,800 for Cameron, $84 for Malcolm. If you are on the Malcolm side, and if you think he repeats that Contender Series success in the UFC, then that $8,400 makes a ton of sense because he's just scored well over 100 in DraftKings Fantasy. If you are a DraftKings Fantasy guy and you care about the tools, you care about the optimizer, you care about the fight simulator, every single one of those things is on the website right now for $10. If you know what Saber Sim is, I encourage you to Google it if you don't. I actually encourage you to go to Roto Grinders, go to Scotastics, look up Saber Sim, check out the pricing on all of those, and then go to We Want Picks for $10. Tell me what they have that we don't. $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Next up at UFC Kansas City, we got DaMon Blackshear taking on Alatengheili. If I'm being honest here, I don't know what it is about this fight. I've got a pretty confident pick. I've put it on the board. I have a parlay here, but something sketchy just feels up. I sent a text to Jacob and Josh, the web guy, yesterday, and I said, this feels like too easy of a card. There has to be some landmines, and I feel like that landmine could be DaMon Blackshear, but we'll talk about it. We got DaMon Blackshear 16-7 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is riding back-to-back wins, taking on Alatengheili at 17-9 in his career, 3-1-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that decision win over Clayton Rodriguez. DaMon Blackshear, athletic striker, impressive speed, good power. He can grapple as well. He averages around 2 takedowns per fight. Good volume in his strikes, good technical boxing, nice clean takedowns. He does have 4 losses in the UFC, but every single one of them is a good loss. He's coming off that come from behind submission win over Cody Gibson, where he did lose that first round, but he was able to pull off that Kimura in the second. He's taking on Alatengheili. This guy can be a technical striker or a busy grappler, and I've broken this card down a few times already, and I've said the same thing every time. We've seen Alateng outstrike people. We've seen him outgrapple people. We've never seen him do both. If you run through his fight history, you will see fights where he had a whole bunch of takedowns and he got outstruck, or a bunch of fights where he did the striking and got outgrappled. He doesn't seem to be able to marry those two things together. And for that reason, I do think he's going to lose this fight. I'm going to pick DaMon Blackshear, but Alatengheili is good. And if he just shows up being able to marry those two things, striking with DaMon before working in the grappling, then all of a sudden, he's going to be able to make some stuff happen. He's coming off that win over Clayton Rodriguez. We had 3 takedowns, 8 minutes of control time. And we watched DaMon Blackshear give up the first round of his last fight to Cody Gibson. I am picking DaMon Blackshear. I think he's just going to be more technical in the striking. I think he should be able to work his way back up, even if he is taken down a few times. And I'm going to lean on the fact that I've never seen Alateng out-grapple and outstrike. So if he comes out striking, I think DaMon's a better striker, so I'm not worried. If he comes out grappling, I think DaMon will be able to work his way back to his feet, get his hands going like crazy, and the judges will appreciate that. So I'm picking DaMon. I have him in a parlay. I'll give you the second half of that parlay right after Jacob gives us his breakdown. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm going DaMon Blackshear, and I just played him by sub because I think if he wins, he's probably gonna get a submission win. That's just kind of what he's been doing. Alatengheili can put himself in those positions with the wrestling because DaMon Blackshear is a good enough grappler, especially against a wrestler that if Alatengheili gets a takedown, DaMon's probably just gonna work a sweep and end up in an advantageous position, be able to submit this guy. But as far as like playing him for like the minus 400 line and stuff, he's just way too casual in his defensive striking. Like, when you pressure him, he will just throw up his guard, back up, and almost turn his back and like try to walk away. It's very wild to see. And if you get a guy like Alatengheili who will just throw wild shit, if something lands around that guard, we've seen him get dropped before. So he's just way too casual in his defensive striking, basically. For me to play him straight up or any parlays or anything, but I played him by submission, and I think he wins, but it feels weird.
There's just something weird about this fight. I have a parlay. I have DaMon and Joselyne. I basically said, who are two fighters that I'm very confident in, but I don't like trust. And I like to put those people together. So obviously you run through your slate of fighters who you're confident in, you build some parlays, you do all those things. I like to take the two people that I think they win enough to bet on them, but they're my least confident of those people, and I'll put them together so they don't blow up two separate parlays. Joselyne is a woman who will be smaller, and DaMon, to your point, I mean, he's got a negative striking differential for a guy who's supposed to be such a high-level striker. So I'm with you. I went ahead and did that parlay. I think it's like minus 115 or something like that. If you're a premium member, you got the push notification. If you're a premium member, you also get to see every single bet on the board, not just for this card. We have bets for UFC 315. The next week's card, I believe there's a UFC Des Moines bet on the board, and then that UFC Maki or whatever that card is in Algiers-Kistan. Check them all out right now. WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 for an entire month. You can unlock every single pick, bet, and tool instantly for an entire month's worth of fight cards. We have a $5 super chat from Dewarmi Zukamefa. Alatang, Wu-Tang, and the gang, DaMon in 5. I have no idea what that is. I appreciate the 5 spot, though. There was no way I was going to rhyme that smoothly. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have Chris Gutierrez taking on John Sexy Mexi Castaneda. This fight was supposed to happen back at UFC 313, but it was canceled a few hours before the event because Castaneda got sick. Both of them had weird circumstances going into that fight. Chris Gutierrez was on that card, but he lost his opponent. John Castaneda was supposed to fight the week before, and then there was an issue, so they bumped him a week. And we weren't going to get a true full camp kind of matchup, but now we will. And it is important to note that the odds for this matchup are very different than the odds the last time. Last time out, John Castaneda was a slight favorite at minus 120. And now here we are when they have a full camp. The market has decided, because they opened at dead even money, the market decided Chris Gutierrez is going to be the pick. I was on the other side last time. I'm on the other side this time. We got Chris Gutierrez 21-5 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is alternating wins and losses, taking on John Castaneda 21-7 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that one-sided loss to Daniel Marcos. Chris Gutierrez, as we all know, a very good kickboxer with phenomenal low kicks, good cage control. He's got good volume. He's landing more than 5 significant strikes per minute. He's got good enough cardio to keep a pace, and a ton of those significant strikes are straight up leg kicks. He will absolutely blast your legs while plodding forward. He's going to slow you down, and then he'll pick up the straight punches, and you kind of lost that mobility because your legs got chopped out. He's got decent takedown defense at 69%, and that does allow him to be loose on his feet and not worry about anything getting caught or having any problems. He is coming off the decision win over Quang Lee, where the striking looked very good, but the wrestling came into question. And that's what makes this fight interesting, because John Sexy Mexi Castaneda is a really fun fighter who has Division II wrestling experience. Yes, D2 is not D1, but he is still a guy with a ton of cardio who will move forward, stay in your face, alternate takedowns and striking, and just not stop coming forward. He is all about that forward pressure, good variety of strikes. He's coming off that canceled fight against Douglas Silva de Andrade. And then he moved it over to the next week. We were supposed to fight Chris Gutierrez, and then it got canceled. And now here he is. And this should be a fun fight. I broke it down months ago. I picked Castaneda then. I am picking Castaneda now. I think the only thing here is going to be, can John get the takedowns? If John can get the takedowns, I think he wins this fight. Quang Le showed us that Chris's wrestling has a couple of holes. I do think Chris is the better striker, and certainly if he's chopping down John Castaneda's legs early, then there goes any opportunity to wrestle. So we'll see what happens. Jacob, I know you're a big fan of that fight camp, but what do you think happens in this fight?
I think back a slide. I think you're gonna know.
I did the same one twice. Fuck.
I think you're gonna know in the first 2 or 3 minutes who's going to win this fight. It's going to be whoever is able to establish the early pressure, because both these guys are completely different fighters, whether they're moving forward or whether somebody's moving them backwards. And whoever's able to get that octagon control is going to win this fight, because if Chris Gutierrez can get those leg hits going, pressure Sexy Mexi back against the cage, he kind of ducks his head at times and he kind of gets desperate with the wrestling, tries to grab you and twist you around, and Chris can be able to hold his own in those type of positions. But if Sexy Mexi is moving forward and Gutierrez is back against the fence doing the Muay Thai with the knee and everything, that's when John can just lay on the pressure, and he is probably going to be able to shoot a nice double leg or something to get the takedown. So you're going to know in 2 or 3 minutes who's going to win this fight. I think Chris Gutierrez is going to back him up. That seems like the game plan. They seem pretty aware that they can't get backed up, and we'll see if Chris can implement the game plan.
Yeah, I think I did the same slide twice here, so I don't have the stats slide. But ultimately, I agree with you. I do think we will know in the first 10 minutes, because if Chris Gutierrez is just
2 or 3 minutes.
I agree. I think we will know in the first 2 or 3 minutes. If Chris Gutierrez blasts this dude's legs and John can't get him against the cage, can't pressure forward, can't start shooting those takedowns, then yeah, that's nothing's changing there. Chris is going to get more comfortable as the fight goes. But if John gets in his face early, this could be an awesome live bet type situation, because I don't know what these odds are going to look like come fight night. But to Jacob's point, you might know
Chris,
real quick.
He shouldn't show much respect to Sexy Mexi's boxing. It's okay boxing, but he doesn't have crazy power.
There's no power, yeah.
Yeah, I think because sometimes he just shows people too much respect with their hands.
Yeah, there's no power. The only reason I'm on the John Castaneda side is the wrestling. So if he's coming forward with a striking game plan, it's like, oh, fuck. Like, that's not...
I got Chris Gutierrez inside the distance decisional action at plus 170. I thought those odds should have been
That's
flip-flopped.
an unbelievable bet. Jesus. I wonder what that is now.
There's a finish. I think it's going to be on the Chris side. Chris is a durable guy, and Sexy Mexi's not a crazy, dangerous KO guy or submission guy, and Chris is still a brown belt or something, so he might get out wrestled for 15 minutes, but if there's a TKO, it seems like it's going to be Chris doing it.
I 100%. I have 2 inside the distance decision no action bets on this card. That Chris Gutierrez at those numbers is unbelievable.
I honestly thought they had the odds wrong.
It must be that good because they're expecting to refund it, because that he's definitely the more dangerous of the two. Obviously Frankie Edgar was old, but that was one punch. The leg kicks. I think Castaneda wins just from Marab. Tons of forward pressure, a million takedowns. But if there's a finish here, it's definitely on the Chris side. So that's a very solid bet. I mentioned the market decided. This opened at minus 110, minus 110. Now we've got a slight favorite here in Chris Gutierrez. He's also the slight favorite in DraftKings Fantasy.
And it sounded like Chris was doing pretty well in camp versus Isaac Bulgarian. They're in the same camp, and Isaac was working him pretty hard this camp. It sounded like he was doing pretty well, so we'll see if it translates.
Yeah, ultimately I did not. Last time this fight was booked, I bet on John Castaneda. I did not bet him this time, even though the line's moving, because it is like, you actually convinced me last time, because you were as sure then as you are now. And then I'm like, all right, I don't need to bet it. And to your point, if Isaac Bulgarian, who is a non-stop nasty wrestler, I'm going to stick with the Castaneda side because we just saw Chris against Quang Le, but I do have some reservations. If you do want to check out every single pick, every single bet, every single tool, they are all available right now. WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member at the top. You'll get them for this card, UFC Des Moines next week. Then you'll get UFC 315, and then you'll get the fight night with Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales. Everybody who is going to this is also going to Des Moines. That's your part of the world. How close are these places? Is Kansas City and Des Moines kind of near each other?
Are you asking me? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Isn't that Midwest? Doesn't that qualify as Midwest?
It's probably the Midwest, yeah.
Yeah. Like almost every single person's like, I'm going to both. It's like, I don't know what a map looks like. A couple of super chats. Dewari explained his previous super chat. $10. He said it was a Shannon Sharp reference. He goes all Dr. Seuss with the rhymes, with random things, and then he ends with his pick, Lakers in 5. Thank you for the $10. Shannon Sharp is fighting for his life right now. Did you see all that today?
I did, yeah.
Did you hear the audio?
Yeah.
That was, and I have daughters. That felt like the most set up thing in the world. First of all, why are you recording a random phone call? Second of all, she's using words like, stop, don't intimidate me. It's like, why are you, that word didn't flow normal in that conversation. He didn't help himself when he was like, I'm going to come down there and beat your face in or whatever he said. It's like, ooh, yikes. All right. That's not great. Kevin said, Angelo, are you wearing Young LA shorts as well? No, I am not. I'm wearing this shirt. I traveled all day. This is an unbelievably comfortable shirt. And I am wearing sweatpants shorts, not from Young LA. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have a brand new matchup that spawned from some wild controversy. We got Evan Elder taking on Guage Young. Evan Elder, 9-2 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is riding back-to-back wins, and he's taking on Guage Young, 9-2 in his career as well, 4-1 in his last 5, and he is making his short notice UFC debut. And the reason he's making his short notice UFC debut is Evan Elder's original opponent decided to step out and have inappropriate relations with an underage child. So hopefully he is cut into pieces and then buried under an arena somewhere and never to be heard from again. But that did give Guage Young his opportunity in his UFC shot. It's not his first shot. He was on the Contender Series, did not win that fight, went to the regional scene, won a fight there, and then got the late notice call-up, which is as good of an opportunity as most of these people are going to get. Guage is a pretty well-rounded prospect. He's got solid technical striking, decent wrestling as well. He does a good job managing distance before finding his openings with the wrestling. When he shoots takedowns, he does a decent job cutting angles and reshooting if he doesn't get it off the first rip. He's not particularly powerful, but he is busy. He is well-rounded enough to get wins, and he's coming off that regional win, which earned him this short notice call-up. He's taking on Evan Elder, talented guy, pretty good everywhere. He's got that loose striking. His hands are heavy. He's got heavy leg kicks. He's got good punching combinations as well. He has nice takedowns, and I did wish he used them a little bit more, but they are there. When he hits the mat, he stays very composed. He will methodically work for control while still managing to land strikes. He got solid submission defense as well. Overall, a very good fighter who's coming off that submission win over Darius Flowers. Listen, I don't know why this line is tightening. I have no idea why people are betting on Guage in this matchup. Evan is good. I think Evan dominates here. Evan was the guy who was already on this card, who had the full fight camp. Evan was a guy who has had very good wins in the UFC, and one of his losses to Nazim Sadikov is when, I'm thinking of the right fight, right? When he was the underdog lock of the week and the ref stopped it because of the cut.
Yeah, and he was up 2-0.
Yeah. And Nazim is very good. I don't know why this line is tightening. Evan is the pick. I think Evan is unbelievable value at 2-1 against a guy who lost on the Contender Series, who's stepping up on 4 days' notice when Evan's the one who had a full fight camp and has proven he can win fights at this level. Evan's the pick. This is the best value you're going to get on this card. Do you agree with me, Jacob?
Yeah, I like Evan here. I'm biased. I'm a big fan of Evan. Always been a fan. My lock of the week. There's some lock of the weeks that kind of stick with you as far as like you could just tell like that was just a great call. And that was the Evan Eller fight. I love Evan Eller. I got the chance to meet him last time I was at the Apex. And like the nicest, most genuine dude ever. Even like DM me on Instagram afterwards and was like, "Hey, nice meeting." I was like, "It's crazy. He's a nice guy." It feels like they're kind of the same person, but Evan is just the more experienced, refined fighter. I mean, Guage Young they're both just kind of, can do everything, but the master of none type of situation. They're just very, very good fighters, but Guage in there still looks a little bit green, a little bit blocky, a little bit tight, where you're going to see, I think, the difference in the striking is the fluidity with Evan. And then if Evan wants to shoot a takedown, he should be able to get a takedown. You're going to see the experience level there on the ground as well. So even if it gets into like a weird situation, Evan's he's a tough dude. And I think he wins the fight.
Yeah, I mean, agreed on all fronts. I don't understand why the odds are tightening. Like, people saw minus 250 and they're like, no, I'm going with Guage. And I understand if he was like a touted Contender Series prospect. Let's say he, had a couple of Contender Series wins and just didn't quite get that UFC call up yet. No, he lost on a Contender Series. And the guy he lost to lost in the UFC. So it's not even through osmosis.
I think he won.
Oh. No, the dude with the crazy name?
The Qualid. Yeah, he smoked that dude.
Yeah. Salt Kid? Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah. But I don't know. The line movement is what's surprising here. Obviously, Guage is a talented kid, and it's not like Evan's got 50 fights under his belt. But I don't know. I bet on him. I've got bets on Evan.
We just saw Nazim look really, really sharp and get that win. Evan and Nazim are basically like best friends. They fought, but now they're training together and stuff. And I think they're great for each other. I think they're really pushing each other, and I think you're going to see a really impressive Evan Elder.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a get the odds while they still exist type of bet here. When you come off of a week off, it takes a little while for people to get back into the rhythm. They enjoyed not watching fights, or they hated not watching
it's
fights.
It's half off from Joselyne Edwards,
which is crazy. Yeah. No, it's a great point. Your deadpan delivery has me questioning, like, am I the retard? Did I say something? So then I was like, oh no, he's making my point. So it's a hard read. So I agree with you. I don't know what he's going to close at. I would have bet my life he would have closed at minus 600, but that does not seem to be the trend. I do think it'll rebound, but I don't think it's going to be nuts. So get on him while you can. $9,400 in DraftKings Fantasy. That price is locked. That's how DraftKings works. They don't care. You could be the biggest favorite the card has ever seen, and then they swap your opponent out for Brock Lesnar, and you will remain that price point. So he was locked in at $9,400 originally. He will remain $9,400. And I think this is an easier fight. Did you break down his last opponent or no? That dropped before you got to it. I think that dude was 12-1. This is an easier fight than that was. Anyway, Evan Elder's the pick across the board, $9,400 in DraftKings Fantasy. That's a lot of money you're going to need to finish. I might deep dive that one a little bit. I don't know if Evan will get a finish, but I certainly think he's going to dominate here. And if you want to check out the bets we do have on this fight, which they do exist, check them out now at WeWantPicks.com. There's a little button at the top. You click Become a Member. It'll charge you $10 freaking dollars, and you'll have access to literally everything on that website. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have the featured prelim of the evening. We have Matthew Schnell taking on Jimmy Flick in the most important fight on the prelims. We got Matt Schnell 16-9 in his career. He is 1-4 in his last 5. He is riding a 3-fight losing streak. He's taking on Jimmy Flick, 17-8 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off that decision loss to Nate Muniz. And Matt Schnell is getting a lot of shit lately for being 1-4, 3-fight losing skid. But the reality is, overall, he's a pretty well-rounded fighter. He's a decent striker. He's got good BJJ. He does prefer to counter-strike. He does a really good job of engaging and then backing up. And when you follow him, he will plant and then throw. He doesn't shoot very often. He averages fewer than 1 takedown per fight. But if it is on the ground, he's got decent BJJ. He'll snatch things up in scrambles. And while he can be slick on the ground, he does struggle to get it there with a 40% takedown accuracy. He's coming off that 3rd loss in a row. This time was a ninja choke to Cody Durden. He's taking on Jimmy Flick. Jimmy Flick's a slick grappler. He'll take risks. He'll chase submissions. He has subpar takedowns. He averages about 2 per fight, but the accuracy is only 21%. His striking can be stiff. He does have a negative striking differential of 2-5, which means he's landing 2 strikes for every 5 that he's getting hit with. He could snatch something up, though. He is absolutely wild on the ground. We've seen what was a flying triangle, I believe it was. He is coming off that decision loss to Nate Muniz. And this is, listen, if you watched either one of my quick pick videos so far, I made some analogies about what this fight is and the low quality that we have here. The reality is, though, this will be fun. And this is sports entertainment, right? We're watching these fights to have some fun, have a drink, enjoy ourselves for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time. This will be a fun fight. Is this high-level MMA? No. Does this matter for the division in any way whatsoever? No, of course not. But this is fun. This will be good, exciting, back and forth. This will be a slug fight. I am going to pick Matt Schnell, though. I think he's just the better fighter. He is chinny. He can be finished, both on the ground and on the feet. Jimmy Flick has unbelievable ground and random submissions out of nowhere. Matt Schnell's going to be the pick, but these odds are absolutely insane. Don't bet on this fight. That's a ridiculous thing to do. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I got Jimmy Flick by submission plus 375. It's plus 225 right now. It just comes down to whether he gets the takedowns. And I think he just sells out for the takedowns and is able to get the takedowns. If he gets the takedowns, I think he gets the submission. I don't think Matt Schnell is anything too crazy to keep Jimmy off of him. And Jimmy just kind of sells out on the takedowns, and I think he gets 1 or 2 and is able to find the submission. So that's what I bet.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's plus 220 right now and his money line is plus 215 is pretty funny. It's basically that's what they're saying. The only way he wins is by submission. Yeah, I mean, this is it's a fight. It's a fight. And I agree with you. If Jimmy Flick wins, that is how he'll win. And what'd you say, 280 plus 275?
I got 375.
375. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, those are good. Those are good odds. You beat that line movement. Listen, I'm not. There's not a world where I'm going to bet on the favorite here, especially at almost 3-1, especially at $9,200 in DraftKings Fantasy. I am going to be on the Matt Schnell side because I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. To Jacob's point, Jimmy Flick is very good at one thing, and if he can do that one thing, which he has done in the past, then he could have some success here. If you do want to check out every single one of the picks, every single one of the bets, they're all available right now on the website, ready to go. WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member. You unlock it all instantly. And while you're poking around the website, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. On that page, we have a couple of affiliate links to different sportsbook partners. Each one of those partners offer their own bonuses and their own whatever the hells. And then on top of it, we offer a bonus. If you use the affiliate link to sign up with any one of them, and then you make a deposit, we will send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay us, and I'll slice off some of that money, and I'll give it right back to you. And if you already use one of the books, I still recommend with signing up with another, because I was in the precarious situation where I wanted to go ahead and build my safety parlay. I used BetOnline. I could not build my safety parlay with BetOnline because they had certain things locked. So I had to go over to BetUS, and I placed the bet there. I actually ended up getting better odds at BetUS, and I didn't have the limitation of what I could or could not parlay. So I went ahead and placed it over there. It is not a horrible thing to have multiple sports books. I do think BetOnline should be like at least one, even if you have like a FanDuel or a DraftKings, because BetOnline has the most amount of options, but they do sort of limit what you can and cannot parlay. Go ahead and check all of that out at WeWantPicks.com/bets. If you are a premium member and you haven't checked out the tape index, it's the latest tool. We didn't touch the pricing. We didn't make any adjustments whatsoever other than add a brand new tool into the mix and throw it into the menu for you. Under tools in the menu is the tape index. You have full access to every single fighter on the card, their full fight history, and where there are fights available to watch. There's a little red button. You click that button, that video pops up. You can go ahead and watch that fight. We have a DraftKings Optimizer as well. This was just released last month. The month before that, we released the Fight Simulator, and the crew has been busy. The crew has been very busy behind the scenes, building new tools, refreshing the existing tools, and just making the overall premium experience better and better and better. And finally, you unlock premium membership. Here are all of the events you're going to have access to. This card, which is UFC Kansas City, the UFC Des Moines card, which people seem to be very excited for, not necessarily the card itself, but just geography-wise. Then UFC 315 with Bilal Muhammad finally fighting Jack Della Maddalena. And then we have the Fight Night with Michael Morales and Gilbert Dorino Burns, all available once you unlock premium membership. Every single thing we do is available inside the app, except the tape index. I have been getting a ton of emails. I answer probably, 15 emails a day during the week. On a Saturday, I get literally 150 to 200 emails. More than half of them require a reply from me. And a giant chunk of those emails have been, where's the tape index in the app? The tape index is not in the app. You can access the tape index on the website or in a mobile browser. It's not in the app because of how iOS works with, the videos popping up in a new window. But everything else is available inside of the app, including push notifications when bets are placed. Finally, I'm going to say finally, there's one more slide after this. The UFC 315 card is a pay-per-view, and pay-per-views get vlogs. If you didn't watch the 314 vlog, it was just some good old-fashioned fun. We made some food, busting some balls, watched some fights. Just good old-fashioned bro fun. I'm hoping UFC 315 will be more of the same, but if you have any interest whatsoever in what it's like outside of sitting in front of this camera, check out the vlogs. And if you want to send something for us to open on the vlog, a letter or whatever, it's We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas 75078. And in that last vlog, you will see that I'm teaching my oldest how to box. I'm teaching them both how to box, but the oldest seems to like it a little more, even though the youngest is the more coordinated one. And I lit her little ass up. And a lot of what we do is we use Hayabusa gear. And if you do want to check out Hayabusa, they released brand new gloves. These are like very high end. These are not cheap. Very nice gloves, the T360s. They've got double strap. They've got sweat, whatever the fuck, on the thumb. It's unbelievable gear. I use all their no-gi jiu-jitsu stuff, and obviously their boxing stuff is incredible as well. Check them out at wewantpicks.com/Hayabusa. I've got like all the stuff that I personally use. And there is a promo code if you want to get 10% off, and you can use it. It's not for the poors. It's good quality shit. Opening up the UFC Kansas City main card, we have another rebooked fight. We have Ikram Aliskerov taking on Andre Muniz. This fight was supposed to happen back at UFC Saudi Arabia, but it was canceled because Andre Muniz had visa issues. And back then, the odds were much wider than they are now. This is another weird fight where the odds are tightening, and I was surprised to see that. I thought they would continue to widen. We have Ikram Aliskerov. He is 15-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that short notice loss to Robert Whittaker. He is taking on Andre Muniz, 24-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off the decision win over Jun Young Park. Ikram Aliskerov, I know we haven't seen it quite yet in the UFC, but he is a Russian wrestler. He hasn't needed to wrestle in the UFC, but it is there. When he's wrestling, when that is the game plan, it's nonstop pressure, constant body locks, tie-ups, and shots. When he gets you to the ground, he's impossible to shake. He will latch onto you like another layer of skin. Striking-wise, it is improving. He's got a high guard, good combinations, pretty solid power. He is coming off that knockout loss to Robert Whittaker, where if you remember, he was in the Apex. They moved him from the Apex to Saudi Arabia, the other side of the planet, on 1 week's notice and fought a top 10 guy on planet Earth. So it didn't quite go his way. Taking on Andre Muniz, a BJJ killer. He's a decent striker. He's got okay wrestling. He hits pretty hard. The takedowns are solid as well. He's not going to shy away from a striking match. He doesn't get desperate with the takedowns. He'll shoot real ones. No full-blown butt scoot BJJ nerd. But we are in a position here where if he gets taken down, and if Andre Muniz can't get the offensive takedowns, he does end up on his back, just sort of getting dotted up a bit. He is coming off that win over the Iron Turtle, where he had 11 takedowns, but still managed to get his strikes doubled. And last time this fight was booked, Ikram was like a 3-1 favorite, quickly moved to a 6-1 favorite. Now that they've rebooked it, they opened it at 7-1, and it hung out there for a while. And over the last few days, I don't know if there's some news I didn't see or what, but over the last few days, he went from -700 down to -500. While still a tremendous favorite, that translates to 5-1 favorite. If you don't know how odds work, -500 basically means you have to bet $500 to win 100. You give them 500, they'll give you 600 back. 100 is profit. So he's a big favorite, and you have to lay out a lot of money to make it worth your while. But I agree with that. I don't think Andre's going to be able to out-wrestle Ikram, who is a very good wrestler. I don't think Andre's going to outstrike Ikram, who's a pretty good striker. And I think if Ikram goes back to his wrestling roots and takes Andre Muniz down, then he can beat him up the exact same way Paul Craig did when he was Jacob's underdog lock of the week, or when Brendan Allen did when he stepped up on short notice to beat up Muniz as well. So Ikram is going to be the pick. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, this was made for Ikram, a non-dangerous striker that can get out wrestled, out grappled. This is kind of like a thanks for stepping in. Here's somebody that you should beat. Ikram should win this fight unless he comes in and acts like an idiot and just starts swinging wild shit, like maybe gas himself out or something. But Ikram should win this fight.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm surprised to see the line tightening because I just don't. I unless it's the sports books sort of moving it to try. I don't know why actually. Obviously, money has to come in on it. I don't know why the odds are tightening. Ikram should be a tremendous favorite here. He should win this fight. I expect him to win this fight. Andre Muniz's lost to Paul Craig. That's when that broke you had like a losing lock of the week skid, and then that broke the skid, right? That's when I had to come on here and be like, sorry for the antics.
I think so.
Yeah, and then you showed up with the Paul Craig face mask, and he went down to 185. Anybody who takes Muniz down, considering how good he is at jiu-jitsu, has some success, and I do think Ikram can go back to those wrestling roots if he wants to, and even if he doesn't, I think that $9,700 could be worth it. I think Ikram can win by striking. I think Ikram can win on the ground. I think Ikram wins this fight. He will be in my lineups. I will spend that money, and I do have him in that 3-leg parlay. I have Ikram. Who the hell else? I have Ikram, Jaqueline, Amorim, and I'll give you the 3rd leg of that when we get to that fight. And if you do want to check it out now, every single bet that we place is on the board, ready to go, not just for this card, but future cards as well, including UFC 315 and some other ones. Check them all out right now at WeWantPicks.com. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have Randy Brown taking on Nicolas Dalby. Randy Brown, 19-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that razor-thin loss to Brian Battle, taking on Nicolas Dalby. Nicolas Dalby is 23-5 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that close loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov a little while ago. It's been a while since Nicolas Dalby popped back in here. And time is of the essence because he's not a young dude. He's getting a little older. We haven't seen him quite slow down and be old and sluggish just yet, and a lot of that has to do with the wild, insane breathing techniques he has. But he is older, and he eventually will look old. He's got that karate-style striking. He stays mobile. He switches stances. Insane breathing, as I mentioned. If you've never seen a Nicolas Dalby fight, turn the volume up and just prepare yourself for a wild ride. He has a good amount of power. We've seen that. He can also be hittable. He averages a little more than 1 takedown per fight, but he does have a very low 27% takedown accuracy. Striking is okay, grappling is okay, and all in all, he's a well-rounded guy who is very hard to get out of there, but he's also not very dangerous. He is an absolute dog. He gets dropped. He can be in some trouble, but he survives. He's coming off that close decision loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov, and when I say close decision, it's a draw, because he was losing the first 2 rounds, almost finished Rinat in the 3rd, made it a 10-8, boom, draw. He also is coming off a canceled fight with Elizeu Zaleski. He's taking on Randy Brown. Randy Brown's a good striker who uses his range really well. He's stupid tall for this weight class. He takes advantage of that length. He uses long jabs, good kicks. He likes to keep you at bay. And then when he's ready, he'll use that speed to initiate boxing exchanges, maybe enter that pocket to try to light you up. He has 9 takedowns in the UFC. He does not go to them very often, but when he does, he's got some trips and then good jiu-jitsu when he hits the mat. He is a lot of fun to watch. He's coming off the decision loss to Brian Battle, where he landed more total strikes. He had the only 2 takedowns in the entire fight, but ultimately he did lose that decision. Nicolas Dalby's tough as hell. He's always in phenomenal shape, but he is 40 years old. He's not as good of a striker as Randy is. He's not as long as Randy is. I'm going to pick Randy Brown here. I think Randy gets it done, but notably, you will see I have 0 bets whatsoever with Randy Brown in it because, I mean, Nicolas Dalby is an absolute dog, and if he wants to keep it ugly and stay in Randy's face and grind him up against the cage and do the weird breathing in his ear, he could weasel out a weird decision just like Randy lost in his last fight. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, this is going to come down to probably volume versus big moments and what the judges seem that they want to credit more that night. The finishing upside's on the Randy Brown side, so that's probably why he's the favorite. But like you said, if Nicolas stays in his face, this could get very interesting on the scorecards. But I think Randy's going to have the bigger moments to be able to separate himself inside of rounds and maybe even find a finish, maybe in the second round or something like that. But I'm going with Randy Brown.
Yeah, I'm on the Randy side. The finish is tricky because Nicolas Dalby is insanely freaking tough, but he does get dropped. And how many times have we seen people get dropped, survive, talk about how tough they are, and then eventually one day, not so much. I mean, we're going to have that conversation when we get to the co-main event with Anthony Smith. But both on the Randy Brown side, I'm not going to spend the money, though. I don't quite trust the judges here because, frankly, he didn't really get what he was supposed to get last time. Who's winning? I was like, what the hell is he looking at? And then I realized, are your Pacers doing what they're supposed to do?
They're up 5. Minute 20 to go.
Did they win the game 1?
Yeah, let's go up 2-0. Now, Halliburton and Lillard are yelling at each other.
All right, fancy. You're going to be dialed in for the next couple of minutes then. If you do want to check out every single pick, every single bet, every single tool, and if you need a tiebreaker like the artificial intelligence, that is there ready to go. We don't do tiers. We don't do packages. There's no, bets for $10 and then upsell. No, it's $10 for quite literally everything. And I encourage you, shop the market. Go to Awesemo, go to Roto Grinders, go to SaberSim, all these massive companies. See what they're offering. Look at those price points. Then come back. Tell me how amazing $10 is. We want picks. .com. We do have a super chat from the next Lennon. Thought on all fights being 5 rounds. CLD it was easier to write could be fun. Yeah, it could also suck shit. Have you not seen a female undercard fight before? Have you never seen one of those? Have you not seen heavyweights fight before? We cannot have all fights be. I think the UFC pacing. Thanks for the super chat. I think the UFC pacing as is spectacular. I think we're good. 3 rounds and then 5 rounds. If you want to add more 5-round fights for impactful ones, title eliminators, maybe, but all fights being 5 rounds, absolutely not. You agree with that statement?
I didn't listen to anything you're saying.
Yeah, you're pretty. If there's only a minute something left, I get it. Next up. At UFC Kansas City, we have Michel Pereira taking on Abus Magomedov. Michel Pereira, 31-12 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off the one-sided loss to Fluffy Hernandez, taking on Abus Magomedov, 27-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5 on a dose fight skid. Michel Pereira he's had his own ups and downs as of late. Been highlighted across multiple platforms by multiple women in his life. But he is still a very exciting fighter and physically a beast. For the majority of his career, he's a massive 170-pounder who maybe had some gas tank issues, if you will. They moved his ass up to 185. He rattled off a bunch of wins in a row, looked absolutely spectacular, got himself a 5-round main event, and just couldn't get it done. He did slow down. That gas tank wasn't quite what it was supposed to be, but that was against the guy on an unbelievable wild win streak in Fluffy Hernandez. Michel Pereira has 43 professional fights. He is only 31 years old. He has unbelievable athleticism. He has power in his hands. He has wrestling. He has jiu-jitsu. And if he had cardio, if you gave Michel Pereira like good cardio or very good cardio, he would be a world champion. The skills are there to be a world champion. And it really just comes down to how long can he do the stuff that he needs to do. He's taking on Abus Magomedov. Abus is a very versatile striker. He has wrestling as well. It's his backup plan for the most part. He's got sneaky power because it never looks like he's throwing big shots, but he has put people down. He's a long striker. He does a pretty good job using that length to counter to keep people at the end of his strikes. He'll throw everything from tight hooks to head kicks, and even though he can be hittable, he recognizes if he's on the wrong end of an exchange and then quickly shoots a double. He is coming off that submission win over Bruno Ferreira where he was in trouble early and he was getting dotted up, getting hit a little more than he should have been, but he did manage to stay composed. And it wasn't too long ago that we were talking about Michel Pereira, and here we are talking about him again. And even though he's got some distractions in the personal life, I don't think it's going to matter here. I think he spends the majority of his time here training, getting ready for fights. And as long as his cardio lasts 2 rounds, we're good. And I think it will. I think the 5-round main event might have been just a little too much too soon. Lots of pressure. I'm too soon, probably not the right wording. He's been in the UFC for a while and he has a ton of experience. But I think a normal 3-round fight on a main card is exactly where Michel Pereira is going to shine, let alone against a guy like Abus who can be hit, who has been hit, who can be a little chinny. Michel Pereira is my pick. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I think I actually thought his cardio was fine. I mean, he was working hard. That's just a really dominant grappler, and he was working really hard to try and get out of those positions. He wasn't just like laying there for 4 rounds and got tired. He was trying to work that entire time. So it is what it is. I think his cardio is going to be fine. I think he has a chance to dominate this fight. Abus is going to not like the pressure that Michel is going to bring into this fight, and when he tries to wrestle off that pressure, he's not going to get the takedowns. I mean, he can't work as like Fluffy was working. We've seen him have gas tank issues before. We've seen him get clipped with big, powerful shots, default to the wrestling. He did that versus Bruno. I just don't think the backup wrestling that he thinks is going to be there is going to be there. And if he can't wrestle Michel, I think the pressure is going to be way too much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The Bruno fight was pretty telling. The way Bruno fought Abus, and yes, he lost, but that's why Bruno ended up Jacob's lock of the week in his last fight, why I picked him as well. Because we saw, wow, this guy can make something happen, and Abus gets hit, he gets lit up. So Michel Pereira popping in here.
He gets so panicky.
Abus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not just going to be able to panic take down giant athletic Michel Pereira. So Michel Pereira, big, strong, fast, clean, powerful, all the things. Should get it done. This is another fight. The line is tightening for whatever reason. I don't know if it's people going back, watching his last fight, but I think credit needs to be given to Anthony Hernandez because Anthony Hernandez would absolutely run through Abus Magomedov. So Michel Pereira might now at -132 seems like a decent deal. $8,600 in DraftKings Fantasy. Those numbers don't quite align, right? -132 should be like a slight favorite in DraftKings Fantasy. $8,600, decent size favorite in DraftKings Fantasy. If you do want to check out every single pick, every single bet, every single tool, we just had a new sign up right now. Bobby Taylor, welcome to premium membership. Everybody else, WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top. It's freaking $10. You hate it? Cancel. It's $10. But I promise you, you will love it. WeWantPicks.com. We have a $3 Canadian from Tommy B. Thoughts on Katana versus Almacan at 315. Great show. I have not gotten that far. And I hate that you wasted $3 on this. I have no clue. I'm a big Brad Katana guy. I haven't done the research yet. I do typically think Brad Katana is going to win most fights he's in. Stay busy enough. Move forward. If you want to send another comment with a different question. If I see it, I'll answer that. I don't have a good answer for you here. Any chance you're at UFC 315 yet, Jacob?
What?
Thoughts on Katana versus Alkaman at 315. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't even know who those people are.
Well, Brad Katana. We're just not that far yet, bud. Sorry about that. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have the featured fight of the evening. We have Giga Chikadze taking on David Onama. Giga Chikadze, 15-4 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off the decision loss to Arnold Alan, taking on David Onama, 13-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is riding a 3-fight win streak. Giga Chikadze is a name that you hear it, and you're like, oh man, he's good. Oh, Giga's good. He's got those phenomenal kicks. But then if you actually start to look and you deep dive a little bit, it's like, well, how good is he or is he not? He could be the next Garam, where we talk about how amazing he is, but we don't quite have those performances out of him just yet. Giga is a good striker. He's got a solid jab. He has unbelievable kicks. He does an incredible job managing range with those kicks. The kicks will keep you at distance, and then he'll come in firing away. He's not a high-volume guy. He lands around 4 significant strikes per minute, but he does do a nice job of keeping his opponent's volume low as well. He's coming off that loss to Arnold Allen, where he was just a full step behind in all of those striking exchanges. He's taking on David Onama, a kickboxer who likes to plot forward and control the pace. Typically, he isn't incredibly high volume, but he is effective. He's got a long jab. He's constantly throwing that out there. He's busy in the clinch, and he throws knees and elbows while inside. He has a low 20% takedown accuracy and a 52% takedown defense, but he did just get his first takedown in 2 years in that win over Roberto Romero. And at one point, as I mentioned, Giga was a legitimate prospect. He's a Georgian, so you assume he can wrestle as well, which he can. He's got very good striking. But the long layoffs, a couple of tough losses, and all of a sudden, there's not really a ton of hype yet. And here he is as an underdog. Right now, the odds have Onama as a minus 170 favorite, and it continues to widen. He was minus 150 just a few days ago. I think Onama is going to win this fight. I think he's just going to be busy, fast, and clean, the exact same way Arnold Allen just beat Giga. Not crazy if Giga has some success with those long kicks and David struggles with that range, but I don't see it. I think David's going to move forward. I think David's going to be the busier, faster striker and just going to win a point fight decision. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, David Onama is another one of those. It's a biased pick. I like David Onama. I met David Onama. He's a nice guy. He's part of that camp. He should win this fight with forward pressure, mixing some takedowns. The good part about David Onama is he is a little bit unorthodox in the striking. He's got like that Jamal Emmers, like that almost that clubbing right hand that seems to really catch people off guard, either with the timing or when you're a high-level kickboxer like Giga, you're used to a right hand coming like a normal right hand, and the way that he kind of clubs over the shoulder with that right hand, I think could surprise Giga. David Onama can fight from either stance, and he's got some underrated wrestling and grappling as well. I know he really enjoys the grappling side of MMA, and he loves his front chokes. There's no doubt about that. But you just got to get Giga moving backwards early. Because he's not as dangerous when he's moving backwards, and eventually he'll start slowing down. And if you move him backwards, he really doesn't have any boxing, so you just kind of press her forward and land your shit. And we've seen David Onama, gut out some shit before. So even if he gets hurt early, don't panic too crazy. If you're on the David Onama side, he's a tough kid. He's gonna be a pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also on the Onama side. There's this comment here. Said, didn't Onama get touched up by Roberto Romero? And Romero was short notice. I'm telling you guys, Giga. Listen, that's MMA math. That's not going to work because styles matter. Roberto Romero came in guns blazing, just which is a very different fight than how Giga fights. Giga's not going to create chaos. Giga's going to try to use the kicks and be technical and use all that crap. Very different. And then also David came back and won that fight, like, very clearly. So I don't... You can't really connect dots when there's styles involved. If it was a wrestler and he's fighting another wrestler, sure. But two very different guys, how they fight, how they strike, how they manage range. It's just going to be a different matchup here. I think David gets it done. $8,800 in DraftKings Fantasy. I don't necessarily think that is good value there because I don't think he's going to get a finish. I do think he wins a very clear fight, but without offensive takedowns and without a finish, it's going to be hard to cover that DraftKings Fantasy salary. But if you do want to take a look at every single pick, bet, and tool, if you want to see what the optimizer has to say, if you want to see what the fight simulator has to say, which simulates fights 100,000 times using historical DraftKings information, historical striking stats, historical grappling stats, if you want to see what that says about this fight and every other fight on this card, go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It's freaking $10 to unlock all of it. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Anthony Smith taking on another young prospect in Mingyang Zhang. Anthony Smith, 37-21 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that knockout loss to Dominic Reyes. He's taking on 18-6 Mingyang Zhang, who is 5-0 in his last 5, riding an 11-fight win streak. Anthony Smith is a guy we've broken down many times. Probably too many times for his brain. He's got good hands, solid kicks. Overall, very good striker, tough as absolute shit. He also has very good jiu-jitsu. He's got submission wins over several ranked fighters still on the roster. He's insanely tough, arguably too tough for his own good because he's taken some sort of career-changing fights. He's at a weird point in his career where he's definitely past his prime, and he recognizes that. He's been pretty open about that in a lot of interviews, including on his podcast. But he still is a very good fighter. He obviously has the heart. So he's at a weird point where he's starting to do the commentating stuff. He's making some money doing that stuff. That's obviously his future. You can't fight forever, but he still has some fight left in him, and it's just a matter of how much for how long. And as I mentioned, he's coming off that knockout loss to Dominic Reyes, where he landed shocking 21 strikes to Dominic's 121. He's taking on Mingyang Zhang. This guy's a pretty dangerous fighter. He can find finishes on the feet or on the ground. He has some raw power in his strikes. He's typically looking to mix it up on the feet and then close the distance, work these fights to the ground when he can. He's got good pressure. He has an excellent record with a 100% finish rate split between knockouts and submissions, but even the knockouts were on the ground. I would say about 80% of these finishes are on the ground. He can be sloppy at times, but he is very tough. He will continue moving forward. He's coming off that knockout win over Ozzy Diaz. Listen, I don't think Anthony's going to win. I do think Ming Yang is going to win this fight. Anthony's probably the better fighter, though, right? He's very technically sound on the feet. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. I think this is quite literally just an age versus youth thing. I think Anthony Smith's just a little too old. I think he'll be a step behind, and Ming Yang is just big as shit. He's fast, he's clean, and he can wrestle. The only thing I don't love about Ming Yang is that 100% of his wins are by finish. I want to see this guy win a decision just to make sure that he can fight to a decision at a good level and make it happen and get it done. He's obviously been the decisions, but didn't win them. Ming Yang is the pick. I have him as that third leg in the parlay with Ikram and Jaqueline Amorim, but we watched Anthony Smith play spoiler just last year to another young prospect. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I actually think Zhang kind of sucks. I don't think he's that good. And he's got crazy power, but the way he's willing to just exchange in a matchup like this, it should work. I'm picking Zhang. I bet him to win by first round KO. But if he comes into the pocket, all he really does, he doesn't do anything special. He's not crazy fast. He's just got kind of that death touch. He just throws a big 1, 2, 3. When he comes with that 3, if it lands, it's going to fucking knock Anthony Smith out. And if it doesn't, if they're prepared for that, if they know that combination's coming, because that's pretty much all he does, is he really wants to finish everything with that 3. If they beat him to the punch, he's been chinned before. This guy's 18-6. He's not some young, crazy, undefeated prospect that's not been touched before. He's been knocked out. And Anthony Smith's a big guy, can still hurt people. So, or it gets in a situation where you land a shot, Zhang panics into a takedown, and Anthony is there with a front choke or something. So Anthony pulling this out wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, but sometimes power is enough. And in this matchup, it probably is just going to land something big on Anthony. We've seen Anthony not really react very favorably to those type of shots. And unlike Dominic Reyes, who seemed to kind of take it easy on Anthony when he was kind of turtled up, this dude Zhang is going to jump on him and try to fucking kill him. So if he hurts him, he's probably going to finish him. I got a first-round bet on Zhang, and I think he wins the fight.
Yeah, I got like 3 different DMs this week about this fight, and they all said, but what if Anthony Smith wrestles? Zhang is actually a grappler. I would categorize him as a grappler who has powerful hands, and obviously we saw the elbow just absolutely smoke Ozzy Diaz's face, but Zhang is a grappler.
Anthony making those entries is going to be pretty... I don't think he's going to want to close the distance very quickly on a guy like Zhang.
I mean, he's big as shit, lightning fast, hits like a freight train.
Anthony's going to stay at distance and calf kick and try to just snipe him. If Zhang gets too aggressive, is probably what's... If I was game playing for Anthony, that's what I would do. Just extend the fight, frustrate the guy. He's shown that he can make mistakes. I mean, he'll just rush in like an idiot, basically. So just sit there and wait on something, have it waiting for him.
Yeah. And I see people in the live chat talking about how obviously Anthony Smith beat Vitor Petrino when Vitor Petrino was undefeated. And then Dustin Jacoby beat Vitor Petrino. Dustin Jacoby beat Vitor Petrino basically how you're describing. Stayed on the outside, chopped him up a little bit. And then when Vitor came running in like an idiot, and then he caught a big one, that's exactly what could happen here.
Same camp, same coaches.
Yeah, that literally could happen here. That's why Ming Yang is not in the safety parlay. I do think he wins, and I bet on it. Sometimes you could always talk yourself out of anything, but Anthony Smith is like the random weirdo vet that has a ton of high level experience that will just pull off some shit over a young, pretty untested guy. You do get some insane value if you are one of the few people squarely on the Anthony Smith side. $6,600 in DraftKings Fantasy is an insane deal. An insane deal. I'm not going to get that deal. I'm going to stay probably on the other side here for DraftKings Fantasy. But if you do want to check out every single pick bet tool, the artificial intelligence, what Artem has to say on the regional cards, what Bet Sam's slam of the week is, every single bet, every single pick, every single tool for an entire month. $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top. $5 super chat from Tommy B. Almakhan lost his first UFC fight to Umar Nurmagomedov. He looked good. Brad got a chin, though. Gonna be a banger. Oh, is this the dude who... That's the dude who stepped up on short notice and dropped Umar. Remember that? He dropped him in like the first minute, and then it was just a wrestle wet blanket fest after that. That's right. I remember now. Thank you for the super chat. Next up, at UFC Kansas City, we have a very interesting, very new main event. This was put together about a month ago when we lost Khalil Roundtree and we lost Jamal Hill. But this is a good fight because we have two very high-level strikers in a main event that maybe not a title eliminator, but that will certainly define the top 5 rankings in the world. We have Ian Machado Garry at 15-1. He is 4-1 in the last 5. That lone loss on his record was a 3-2 decision loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov in a short notice main event just a few months ago. He's taken on Carlos Prates, 21-6 in his career, 5-0 in his last 5, riding an 11-fight win streak. Anybody talking about this fight is basically just leaning on Carlos Prates and the fight camp he's in, talking about the nerds, what the nerds are able to do, what the nerds have been able to do. Carlos Prates is training with high-level grapplers. Carlos Prates is knocking people out. Look what Carlos Prates' teammate just did in his fight and all of his other teammates. And while fight camps matter and training partners matter, I don't quite put that much credence into it. Ultimately, it comes down to each individual fighter and their matchup. And Carlos Prates is a very dangerous guy. He's got incredible striking. He's got big power, good range control. He's pretty light in his feet. He manages to throw kicks to basically any part of your body whenever he wants to. He'll launch head kicks at the drop of a dime. He'll throw spinning kicks. He'll defend most takedowns that come his way, which will matter in this matchup. And his power and accuracy are absolutely insane. He does have good cardio despite the smoking and the drinking. But we'll find out. This is his first 5-round fight in the UFC. And he's coming off that knockout win over Neil Magny. He's taking on Ian Machado Garry. I can see the comments now. Everybody loves to make fun of his personal life and his house guest. But the reality is, Ian's a guy that seems to have done the right thing. He's made a couple of missteps PR-wise, but seems like a good dude, doing the right things, trying to improve as a fighter. He moved over to Shoot-A-Box, I don't know, a couple fights ago, and we're starting to see those improvements. And what he hasn't done, though, is turn into a typical Shoot-A-Box, come forward, create chaos kind of striker. He maintained his sort of precision type striking, but what he has improved is the offensive grappling. He's shooting more, he trusts his jiu-jitsu more, and he's speaking beautiful Portuguese. Ian Garry has 6 significant strikes landed per minute on average, solid enough takedown defense to keep most fights on his feet as well, and now we're seeing offensive takedowns. And this is an interesting fight to break down. It's a tricky fight to break down because both of them are high-level strikers. But I imagine what will happen here is Carlos Prates' power is going to be something Ian hasn't experienced before. He will feel it, he will hate it, and he will immediately start grappling. So the question will be, how good is Ian's grappling going to be in this matchup? Will he be able to get Carlos down? Jacob and I were live at UFC 303, and we watched Ian get touched up by Michael Venom Page, decide, rightfully so, I need to start grappling. He started to grapple, and that's what won him that fight. If MVP had better takedown defense, MVP would have won that fight. This could be a similar situation where Carlos lands clean and Ian says, nope, I'm wrestling, and then he wrestles. Or this could be a situation where Carlos lands clean, Ian tries to wrestle and can't, and Carlos continues to land clean. Or I've just got a horrible read here, and Ian Garry is also the better striker. I'm going to pick Carlos Prates. I think his striking is just too fast, too clean. He hits too hard, and we've seen Ian with his chin up a little bit, and the Shoot-A-Box team isn't exactly instilling striking defense into any of their fighters. Carlos Prates is going to be the pick, but I almost hate how many people are on that side, which makes me feel like Ian Garry's going to win this fight. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I've been very high on the Fighting Nerds team, Carlos Prates as well. I kind of came around on him. I actually was kind of a Carlos Prates hater back in the day. I had Trevin Giles as my lock of the week. Or sorry, I had Buffalo Bob. What the fuck was his name? Charlie Radke.
Yeah.
Charlie Radke is my lock of the week versus Carlos Prates because of that Trevin Giles fight. Trevin Giles was really lighting this dude up until he ended up getting knocked out. He was really successful with his jab. Trevin's got a really, really good jab, and it's going to come down this fight. I think you're going to know early what's going to happen in this fight. Either Ian is able to establish the jab or he's not. And if he can't establish the jab and Carlos is pressuring through the jab, he's probably going to get lit up and he's not going to like the pressure and he's not going to be able to get away from it. But Ian Garry's not a fucking idiot. He's not going to stand and trade with this guy. He's going to be waiting to counter-strike. He's going to be backing up. And if he's able to land that jab on Carlos when Carlos is coming in reckless, that's how you keep somebody the fuck off of you. You land the jab, and then you can circle off. You land the jab, you circle off. Eventually, that starts adding up. They're pressuring into the jab more. You set everything up off that jab. So if Ian's able to land that jab early, I think he has an opportunity to kind of dominate, make this guy look really fucking silly. If Carlos is working past that jab, like you said, if Ian can go to the grappling, that's another avenue for the win for him. Obviously, if he can't do that, he's probably going to get lit up. But I think there's a couple avenues for Ian Garry to win in this fight where Carlos Prates, I think he's going to, pressuring past that jab, I think is going to be tougher than he thinks it's going to be. And he'll stay patient with it. I mean, he'll, and I think that's the biggest thing here. Why I flipped on this fight. I'm going with Ian Garry because I think he's not an idiot. He's just going to dance on the outside, pick his shots. Carlos, that reckless style, I think he's going to be too overconfident. That team is just, it's like when you're watching stocks, right? And a stock is just parabolic. It's like you start getting a little bit worried. They've had so much success, so amount, and I think Carlos is a little bit of the sloppiest of all of them, and I think Ian Garry could find an opportunity to style on this guy, and he's going to be my pick.
Yeah, listen, I'm picking Prates. I'm not betting it. This is his first massive test. This is a huge test because I was a hater of both these guys as well. Anytime I'm watching fights live and I have my computer, I will take notes, and my notes for Carlos Prates when he fought Trevin Giles was sucks and found a lucky punch late. Those were the notes. And so I used those notes also going into the Chuck Buffalo, also going into that fight. Clearly dumb as shit because that's not how that fight went down. Carlos Prates looked fucking amazing in that fight. I also have hated Ian Garry. Song Kanan almost put his lights out. You were at that fight too, right?
Yeah, he's never made a mistake like that again. I know that.
I mean,
it was a mistake, and he realized it immediately. He's like, yeah, I think I hung out in the pocket a little bit too long, whatever it was. And he's never done that again.
No, and he came back, shook it off like nothing happened, and dominated the rest of that fight. So I was an Ian Garry hater as well, so I've hated both these guys in the past. I've come to appreciate both of them. Carlos Prates obviously doesn't suck. And Ian Garry, while everybody else is going the cuck route, I've gone the opposite direction. I'm like, you know what? This is a good dude who shows up, he fights, and I think I started to gain a ton of respect for him when he stepped up on short notice against Shavkat. He was fighting Joaquin Buckley the week before, probably going to earn himself a title shot or get close to it, in a much more straightforward fight, and he pivots to, at the time, the most dangerous guy in the division for not a title. That's a commendable thing to do.
I mean, he backs up all his talk pretty much.
That's a commendable thing. All the risk, and obviously they paid him, but there's a ton of risk there for a guy with a very well-manicured career. There was a lot of risk fighting Shavkat on short notice, and he surprised a lot of people.
Even this a fight he doesn't need to take. He doesn't need to fight Carlos Prates. He's done enough.
I completely agree. An unknown killer right now. I completely agree. I ultimately went with Prates, but a lot of things could happen. There's so many questions in this fight, and I'm getting some hate in the comments, as I always do with the fighting nerd stuff. People think I hate the fighting nerds. I don't hate the fighting nerds. What I do hate is the notion that because a gym is doing well, everybody in that gym is going to do well forever and they're never going to lose. That narrative drives me nuts. Carlos Prates is not John Silva. He's not Caio Borralho. He's his own fighter, and he could be better than all of them, or maybe not as good. So the only time I like leaning on the gym is obviously, they're getting good rounds and they're well-trained. Great. Outside of that, everybody's their own fighter. How many trash fighters come out of great gyms? Either way, picked Prates. I think Prates gets it done. Jakey Boy's on the other side. Sorry. Jacob's on the other side with Ian Garry here, and this is a spectacular main event. I'm glad they put it together. I like this, but do you like this better than Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree?
I don't mind either one of them.
I think I actually like that. That got a ton of trash and they moved it. I think this main event is great because it actually matters very, very much. Like this means a ton for the division, and there's a couple of question marks next to both these guys' names. $8,500 in DraftKings Fantasy, $7,700 in DraftKings Fantasy. It's a 5-round fight. If you think it goes 5 full rounds, then you'll probably want the winner. And if you think that this ends by finish, you will also probably want the winner. You need exposure to whoever you think wins this fight. Don't let me convince you. Jacob's on the other side. Go ahead and take a look and see what the tiebreaker is with the artificial intelligence, and you can unlock that right now at WeWantPicks.com. Guys, that is the breakdown. Do us a favor. Go to the App Store, search We Want Picks, download the app. Make sure notifications are on because we do send push notifications. I think I sent 2 yesterday. I certainly sent 1 today because some more bets went on the board and you got that notification to your phone. Inside the app, you'll have full access to everything that we do, except the Tape Index. The Tape Index is the newest tool added to premium membership. It's going to give you every fighter on every card now and in the future. And those fights will have their historical sort of information, who they fought, how that fight went, who won, all that. And then you click the little red button and the video pops up. You'll also have access to the DraftKings Optimizer. The Optimizer will give you everything you need to build a DraftKings lineup. And in fact, it'll build the lineup for you. And if you don't know how to use an Optimizer, we developed one from scratch that includes what we call beginner mode. Couple clicks of the button, ask a few questions, and it'll build it for you. So say, who do you think wins? Who don't you think wins? Any underdogs you love? Anybody you absolutely hate? Ask a few questions, answer a few questions. It'll build those lineups for you. We have a fight simulator that we released a few months ago. The fight simulator will simulate every fight on the card 100,000 times and give you those outputs. It'll use historical grappling stats, historical striking stats. All of that information gets loaded into the simulator. It simulates the fights 100,000 times, and then you get the outputs of not only the fight results, but other information like how many strikes did this fighter land in your simulation? How many takedowns did this fighter land in your simulations? And you can use that at your favorite sports books as well. And then the data analyzer is the greatest single research tool on the planet. You'll get full tape study. You'll get every single stat, anything important that you could possibly want or need to know about any fighter on this card and future cards. This is built out for the future as well. And you're going to get the line movement tracker. This will give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get the Prop Hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. And you're going to get more than me. You're going to get Jacob. You're going to get Artem, you're going to get BetSam, and the artificial intelligence. Guys, that is the breakdown. I appreciate every last one of you being here. We did this 1 hour faster than a normal breakdown. We'll see how that goes. If you guys like the short ones, if you like the long ones, we appreciate every last one of you regardless. Good luck this weekend. Whole bunch of content coming at you the rest of this week.